The hits keep coming for the silver and black as the Raiders find out Jackson Powers-Johnson will be out for an extended amount of time. That plus more on Tuesday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, Veterans Day, November 11th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, your number one sports podcast network. Very proud of that. Also very proud of the way that this show continues to grow each and every day. Even in a season where the Raiders' overall record is 2-7, you come back to the show each and every day. We definitely appreciate you. We shout you out, and we also shout out my man Ari, who does a great job behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day by way of the YouTube page. And, of course, shout you out wherever you're getting your podcasts, or if you are checking out the YouTube page, you're finding Ari's fantastic work. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can find me as well on Twitter at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line for you, 707-654-4693. We'll hear from you as we close out the show. Calls, texts, a lot of great feedback off of things we've been talking about here on the show and just everything Raiders related. So that'll close things out, segment number 3. Segment number 2 is we found out that Jackson Powers-Johnson is going to be out for an extended amount of time. We'll actually hear from a guy who has a chance to get some burn his rookie year. That's Caleb Rogers, a third-round pick out of Texas Tech. Hasn't been in action at all this season. He's going to have a chance to get out there, earn an opportunity to get out there and play, starting as early as Monday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Vinny Bonsignore actually caught up with him in the Raiders locker room on Monday. Great stuff. I was doing my radio show while he was in the locker room, and Vinny caught up with him, sent it over to me, and I just think it's definitely worth you hearing from the young rookie and hear the perspective that he has, and I think it'll make you feel really good about him moving forward. Obviously, he's got to get it done on the field, but I think just hearing from him, you'll have a lot more confidence than you might have at this stage of the game. So you'll hear from Caleb Rogers in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, and most of it has to do with Jackson Powers-Johnson. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, before I get into any news and notes, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it is Veterans Day. So I want to make sure that we remember the reason why a lot of folks are off work today, including myself. No unnecessary roughness, no game night. I don't have to do any of those shows today. We'll go over to the Raiders facility. They'll be practicing, have a chance to get into the locker room myself, so I'll do that. But no radio shows because of Veterans Day. We're all off, and I want to make sure not to get lost why we're off. We're off because of the sacrifices that all the veterans out there, all the veterans' families out there, all the active military, all the ones that we lost, right, and all the families because of all the sacrifices that you all have done and provided so knuckleheads like me can do what I like to do shows like this, do podcasts, do radio shows, have the freedoms that we have each and every day as Americans, and I don't take that for granted. And I know I say it all the time, we don't celebrate you enough. We shout you out on the 4th of July. We shout you out on Memorial Day. We shout you out on Veterans Day. But we try to do our best, and I try to do my best to kind of walk that life. So when I see veterans out there, I like to thank them. Just a quick hello or thank you, whatever, goes a long way. So days like this, I want to make sure that we keep that at the top of our mind and keep all the veterans out there. And like I said, the ones that we lost and even the ones that are active right now in the top of our thoughts, because without them, there's definitely none of us. We don't have everything perfect the way we'd all love it to be, but it could be a lot worse, brother. It could be a lot worse. So, again, thank you to the veterans. Appreciate you, and this is the reason why a lot of us have today off. Now, jumping into some Raiders news, we found out on Monday, we did the Raiders squad show, Chantel Chan, Lincoln Kennedy, and myself, and I promise you it was about maybe 10 minutes after that show got wrapped up. The news came down from Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero from NFL Network. Raiders offensive lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson suffered an ankle injury that'll land him on IR. It could potentially end his season, sources say. This was expected, as Coach Pete Carroll said postgame. He'll be out a while. Still, a big blow to the group. And, yeah, that's spot on. That's a big blow to the group. Pete Carroll did say on Thursday after the loss to the Denver Broncos that JPJ is going to be out a while, but nobody knew what a while meant. Is that 2 games? Is that 4 games? Is that the season? Well, it's at least 4 games. He goes on IR, just like Colton Miller, at least 4 games. And we see that Colton Miller hasn't come back either, right? That's a big man with a foot injury, right, or an ankle injury. That's not a good recipe for success. And so, now the Raiders offensive line, once again, compromised. Now all you really have, now that you've had Colton Miller go down, you have JPJ who's going to miss at least 4 games. You had Dylan Parham go down in that Denver game, right? You're looking at offensive line that the only 2 guys that are consistent there now are the center Jordan Meredith and the right tackle DJ Glaze. I know Stone Forsythe's been there ever since, Colton Miller went down, but man, I mean, this is another version of this offensive line that we're going to see. And the biggest problem with this is obviously you want to have JPJ out there. He's your, toughest and meanest offensive lineman. He's the guy that brings the nasty. Colton Miller brings the consistency. You're missing the nasty and the consistency on your offensive line. That's a recipe for disaster. But as we've been talking about evaluation season, how do you get a proper evaluation of Geno Smith? How do you get a proper evaluation of Kenny Pickett if they so go in that direction? How do you get a proper evaluation of Aiden O'Connell if they go in that direction when you have a compromised offensive line? It's really difficult. And how do you even get a good evaluation of Chip Kelly when you have that compromised offensive line and everything you do is, the offensive line is compromised. It's not in the position it's supposed to be, right? They're not blocking for Geno. Every time he snaps the ball, he's looking down at his protection. He doesn't trust him. And it's hard to trust him when he's been sacked as many times as he has, right? And he's got the pressure immediately. How do you get a true proper evaluation of Ashton Jeanty when he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage every time he touches the ball? You know what I mean? It's just very hard at this stage of the game when we're talking about evaluation season. How do you properly evaluate if you don't have your guys up front? Now, look, every team deals with injuries. It's a reality of the NFL. You have to deal with it the best you can. But in a season that's 2-7 and definitely has not gone the way that anyone expected this team to go, in this direction for it to go, it's just less than ideal. You've had Brock Bowers out for a handful of games. Right? You don't have Jacoby Myers anymore. Now you're leaning on Dante Thornton Jr. and Jack Best. These guys are trying to figure out how to play wide receiver in the NFL. Right? You've had Michael Mayer miss a game due to concussion or a couple games due to concussion. Right? I mean, it's very tough sledding for this team to really, truly, properly figure out where they are when they have so many mixed parts and matched parts. It's funny, I described it on my radio show on Monday as I'm not very good when it comes to like building stuff. Right? You know how you buy something from the store and then you got to put it together? Trust and believe I don't do any of that stuff. Because me, I'll be done with it and look around and be like, why do I have an extra one of these? And why do I have an extra one of these? And you know what I mean? And where did all these screws come from? Oh, maybe it's just extras. It never is extras, right? You're supposed to use the parts. But I don't do that stuff good. That's just not in my bag. So normally if I put together like a desk and then all of a sudden I shake it, it's really wobbly, so you don't want me doing that. Actually, that happened at the radio station. We have a new employee, and they were building his desk, and I was like, yeah, I'm out on this one. You don't want me doing that. That desk will fall on him while he sits there, and it'll be my fault. But that's what the Raiders team is right now. It's a bunch of parts that are, it's kind of like, wait, hold on. Where does this part go? Where does this part go? Right? And they don't really mix and match and go together. And it's a lot of backups in now because so many injuries that they've had, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So it's very hard to get a true, proper evaluation. And like I mentioned, and we'll hear from Caleb Rogers coming up in segment number 2, he is probably going to get an opportunity to, fill a void of one of those guard spots. Look, Dylan Parham, he's in the final year of his deal. There's a good chance he doesn't come back next year. So maybe Caleb Rogers takes over one guard spot, JPJ the other. Maybe JPJ goes to center like a lot of Raider Nation wants him to. Who knows? But JPJ's biggest challenge now is staying on the field. I mean, he's only been in the league now. This is his second year. And how many games has he missed? Missed a couple games this year, missed a handful of games last year. He just can't stay on the field healthy. And that's a big problem as well. Another reason why I think they have him at guard as opposed to the center position. But again, that's just my theory when it comes to that. So he's got to figure out how to stay on the field, but now he's going to get healthy, or has to get healthy. That's his task, and he's going to miss at least 4 games, potentially the whole season or the rest of the season. Also, I wanted to pass on a message real quick. Jacoby Myers, I played that sound from him with Evan Washburn from CBS Sports before his game on Sunday. I wanted to pass this message along that I got from his mom by way of social media. She wanted to pass this along to Raider Nation, so she thought she'd send it to me, and I would pass it along to you. This is me speaking. Thank you, Raider Nation. I believe you when you say once a Raider, always a Raider. The decision made wasn't about the nation. Jacoby has the ability to compartmentalize. He was able to separate the front office who didn't value him from the players and the fans. He understands that the nation was there and will continue to be there after front office executives come and go. It's the fans, the players, and the families who build the nation. I thank them for accepting my son as one of them. recognizing and seeing his value, but most importantly, knowing he's a man of character, professionalism, and honor. This matter. They matter. Raiders. His home will continue to be in Vegas during the offseason. This is not goodbye. It's more of I'll see you later. That's from Mama Myers. And I call my mom Mama Q. So I call Jacoby's mom Mama Myers. And I just think that that's really cool. And I've said it about Jacoby since day one. That's a stand-up dude who is a really good football player and an even better dude. So I'll always appreciate him. I'll always respect him. And if Mama Myers wants me to pass along a message and pass it along to Raider Nation, then by all means, I'm definitely going to do that. So definitely appreciate her reaching out, and hopefully you appreciate that as well. Coming up in segment number 2, Caleb Rogers. He could potentially be in line to play Monday Night Football versus the Dallas Cowboys now that Jackson Powers-Johnson is out. You'll hear from him in the Raiders locker room. We'll do that next. Coming up, segment number 2, today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple of great sponsors we have here on the show, and the first one is Rippling. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform from global HR, payroll, IT, and finance, all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software created. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access, and it runs automatically and perfectly in sync. So whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, and finance operations as one or just fill the gaps in as your software stack, Rippling can do it all. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. I also want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is FanDuel. The NBA is back. Did you see the finishes on Monday night? And they had Andrew Wiggins getting a buzzer-beater dunk in overtime to get a victory for the Heat. You saw Victor Wembanyama put up big-time points again, hit a three-pointer late in the game. There was a lot of buzzer beaters. Desmond Bane hit a buzzer-beater three-pointer for the Magic. Just great action. And, of course, FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who'll score the next to fourth-quarter comebacks. Plenty of fourth-quarter comebacks, as I mentioned. You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 with today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to take you inside the Raiders locker room. And normally I do this when I have an opportunity to get into the locker room and I'm on the interview, either it's one-on-one with me or me, Vinny Bonsignor, Adam Hill, a couple others, whatever. But I thought this was really good, and I really wanted to pass this along to you because we know Caleb Rogers, third-round pick out of Texas Tech, he sounds like he's going to have an opportunity to get some burn now that Jackson Powers-Johnson is out for at least 4 games, potentially longer. And a lot of people have been talking about play the young guys, play the young guys. That goes for Caleb Rogers. That goes for, Jack Besh, Dante Thornton Jr., obviously Darian Porter on the other side of things. There's a bunch of young dudes, this rookie class, that haven't really got that burn yet. Right. And so, we all want to see what these guys can do. Well, sitting there at 2-7, you start to think, all right, you're going to start to see a lot more of these guys, get out there. Even Charles Grant, out of William & Mary. He was the other third-round pick on the offensive line. He's a tackle out of William & Mary. I've been saying that he probably won't get any burn until next year. But at the rate that it's going right now with all the injuries that they're suffering, there's a good chance you might see Charles Grant as well. But Vinny Bonsignor caught up with Caleb Rogers in the Raiders locker room on Monday, and I just thought this was really good stuff. I played it on my radio show, and I was like, man, I got to listen to this again, and I just think it's great if Raider Nation hears what the young man out of Texas Tech, the third-round pick, has to say. Check it out.
Obviously some injuries, and maybe that opens the door for some playing time for you. Mm-hmm. What's been going on in the first 8-9 weeks for you in terms of development? Where do you feel you are right now in terms of that?
I feel great. The sense of what you're talking about is possibility of opportunity, which has just been something that's pretty cool to be able to wait on. And in the meantime, I've been trying to do everything that I can to act as if I'm already starting. You know, it's definitely a hard process to stick to, but it's something I learned a lot about being at Tech, and something that these guys do a good job of giving us a platform to be able to flourish on and to take care of ourselves, give us all the resources we need, regardless of who we are. And so I've just continued to take steps every single week. It's been awesome because I feel like I've gotten so much closer, and I've been very eager to get this opportunity. So now having it is really exciting. I'm not going to do anything different than I've been doing, same exact routine, because I've been preparing like a starter and just allowed to take care of me, and then adjust from there, figure out what I got to do, continue to learn, and just, like I said, take advantage of the opportunities I'm given.
Was there a waiting period for you in college?
I mean, honestly, my freshman year of college was kind of the same thing. There was a COVID world going on, but I was on the bubble of starting and not starting. I was getting about a drive every game, one at left tackle, one at right tackle for the first 6-7 games, and I mean, that was my opportunity at the time, and then my opportunity grew. And so, I mean, at that aspect, there was a couple games where I got thrown in there late in the game to finish the game out, and it just taught me about preparing like a starter. It doesn't matter who you are, what position you're in. You're one play away from in practice or in a game, because someone can get hurt in practice or in a game. So you're one play away. It can happen at any time. Just be ready. So that's just how I operate.
Obviously, it's always can be a little bit frustrating sometimes having to wait your turn. Who do you lean on? Who counsels you?
I mean, honestly, I think our rookie class is incredible. I think the way our rookie class communicates with each other, spends time around each other when we can, and just the way we talk to each other in the building is incredible. We're all going through much different things and much different phases of our life outside of football, and then much different phases of our life inside of football. I'm 24, looking to get some type of opportunity this week. Ashton's 21.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the same people, but at the same time, we both got our own stuff going on in our family lives that we're able to talk about, communicate with. We got our own things in here that we both see and understand and feel our own type of way about. And so, I mean, just the rookie class in general has been great. And then, I mean, my room is awesome. The O-line room is incredible. I love being around them. I really love the group that we have. So,
last question for you. What would you say the biggest growth has been for you since going back to rookie minicamp?
So it definitely started with my hands. I spent a long time working on my hands, with my timing at guard and the placement and the path that I wanted to take from myself to the man. And then after that, we figured out the hands. Honestly, I'm glad I did it the way I did, because once I figured out the hands, it made me realize how much I need to finish figuring out my feet, because I've got some athleticism that kind of just gives me a pretty simple basis of what I got to do at offensive line. But once I figured out my hands and I realized that my feet just weren't really there yet, started working on those, my weight distribution. And so now that I feel like I'm kind of done assembling those two pieces, I'm really, really excited to go get some reps against anybody.
Was it a timing thing, or what?
I mean, it's just kind of a feel. It's kind of just a part of putting the game together. I mean, you've got some reps where your feet are really good and your hands are maybe a half an inch off, and that's all it takes.
Right.
And so sometimes your hands are really good and you've got incredible connection, but then your feet aren't in the right place, so your hands aren't really going to do much for you.
Right.
You block people with your feet. You control people with your hands. So you can have control. You can not block anybody. You can block somebody with no control.
Right.
So, again, just putting it together has been awesome. Really, really fun to see. It's really nice to be at this level and to I mean, I'm just so committed to my craft.
Right.
Like, regardless of whether or not I'm starting or not, I want to know exactly how good I can be at offensive line.
Right.
And it has been a really, really fun time and a really good place. So
maybe it was me putting extras on it. I don't know. I just thought that was some really good stuff from Caleb Rogers. Really just his understanding, his explanation, even knowing, you know, him basically thinking that, hey, he was in a good place. He was ready to play right away, and then realizing, wait, hold on, I'm not ready to play, and this is why. And being able to understand, like, this is what I got to work on. This is the position that they're putting me on into work and get better. And now I feel like I'm there or close to there. I thought that was just some great intel, talking about his feet, talking about his hands, you know, just everything. And I'm sure that anyone could appreciate that. I'm actually sending that audio to Lincoln Kennedy so he can hear it, just so he can get a good idea of, you know, just where this young man is at. Obviously, Lincoln has been there, done that at a very high level as a longtime right tackle for the Silver and Black. So Caleb Rogers will be some kind of guard. He'll either end up sliding into the right guard spot. Maybe he'll slide into the left guard spot. Who knows? But the hope is that he gets out there even as early as Monday Night Football against Dallas, and he earns that spot now that he's on the field and holds it down. So at least, okay, that's one part of the future of that offensive line. Because obviously, as we've talked about, no matter if they go and get a quarterback early, they go get another offensive lineman, they go get some more weapons, they need to address the O-line, and they have to get it fixed if they want to end up having a really good team sooner rather than later. If they want Ashton Genty to succeed, that offensive line's got to be better. They want a quarterback, any quarterback to succeed, that offensive line's got to be better. It's got to be addressed in a major way. They did not address it the way that they should have this past offseason when John Spytek and Pete Carroll took over. For whatever reason that is. That's not, my call on why they didn't. They said that they liked what they saw, and we see where they're at right now. That has to be addressed. So if Caleb Rogers could start to be part of the solution, that's a step in the right direction. That's what you want. So hopefully you enjoyed that conversation. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and texts. What's on your mind? 707-654-4693. We'll close out hearing from you.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's start off with a call from Rahul in Phoenix. I think he used to call from Seattle, didn't he? He's calling to talk about the firing of special team coordinator Tom McMahon, and he has a few thoughts on it. Here he is, Rahul in Phoenix.
Hey, Q, it's Rahul from Phoenix. I haven't called in a while. Maybe it's just because I'm trying to avoid the depression that is associated with the Raiders. I mean, every time I think about this team, my mood gets worse. And, this is just the way it's been for the last many years. And, nothing's changed. And, this last firing of the special teams coach, the thing that upsets me about this is not that they fired McMahon. McMahon was a terrible special teams coach. He was a terrible special teams coach before we brought him in. We knew he was a terrible special teams coach, yet we hired him. Okay? And now, of course, they fired him after the game on Thursday. And the thing that upsets me about this is the fact that they think that this is going to somehow suffice Raider Nation. Like, we got rid of the problem. See, he had a bad game, we got rid of him. Despite all the other bad games they've had, and all the Chip Kelly situations, and all the, bad quarterback, and suddenly this is a sign that the Raiders front office is taking accountability. We're getting rid of the bad coach. And that's the thing that pisses me off about this getting rid of McMahon. Not that they got rid of McMahon, but because this is what they think. And it insults my intelligence as a football fan and a Raider fan, and it should insult the intelligence of every Raider fan. This is BS, and this front office is completely garbage and totally lousy. One love.
Rahul, my man, it's good to hear from you. I know that was you, man. Rahul in Seattle, but now in Phoenix. So shout out to you. Thank you for the call. It's always good to hear from you. It's been a while. There's no doubt that McMahon was the first scapegoat. That's the obvious. But you really felt like something was going to happen sooner rather than later, right? Every time these losses keep happening, especially the way they keep happening, and special teams has not been special, right? I mean, there's at least 3 games that we could look at and say, hey, the Raiders would have won those games or should have won those games if special teams did the right thing, right? And special teams has not been very good. So that was the first domino to drop. It's easier to move on from a special teams coordinator than it is the OC or the DC. And Patrick Graham, well, he did a hell of a job anyway, and his defense did a hell of a job on Thursday night against the Denver Broncos. So you knew it wasn't going to be him. Chip Kelly is a very high-paid offensive coordinator. I think that they're going to try to salvage him as long as possible, and then we'll see what happens. And we'll see what happens upstairs. And when I mean upstairs, I mean ownership, front office. Are they going to end up siding with Pete Carroll, or are they going to end up siding with Chip Kelly? And I feel like that's a scenario that could happen as well. But, of course, there's going to be a lot of attention on that offense in general. But going back to what I said in segment number 1, how do you properly evaluate the offense when you have so much compromise, especially on that offensive line? But thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a lengthy text from JV Raider. It says, Q, I'm just going to say this. Geno Smith is going to be our QB1 next year. Let it begin to marinate now so the idea of drafting a quarterback in the first round can fade away. If we don't revamp our entire offensive line next year to include putting JPJ back at center, we're going to see the same thing. After watching the last 2 games, I have to come to realize Geno is just doing the best he can with the cards he's been dealt. Our offensive line is trash. Our receiver room is trash. Our special teams is trash. If Patrick Mahomes was our quarterback, we wouldn't be any better. Geno Smith is actually a solid quarterback with a very good arm. He's slinging the ball around with great accuracy for the most part. Sure, he's making some mistakes, but show me a quarterback in the league that isn't. And with the offensive line as bad as ours, it's easy for our quarterback to get in his own head. I'm actually confident that if we stick it out with Pete, Geno, and Chip and go heavy on building the O-line and receiving core in the offseason, we could really see things turn around. Keep Patrick Grant and sign some veterans on short-term deals. Get Max some help. We have to see this through because, again, I repeat, Geno Smith will be our QB1 next year in all caps. Thanks for the show, Q. I listen every single day for the last 6 years. Keep it going. We love what you do. JV Raider out. OPS, wanted to add a special shout-out to all the veterans out there, Q. I'm a veteran myself who just retired 2 months ago after 14 years in the Army. JV Raider, if you're watching on YouTube, salute to you, brother. Salute to all the veterans out there. That's awesome. And there is a chance that Geno could be the quarterback next year. I'm not 100% sold on it like you are, but there's a good chance. Like they owe him, $26.5 million in base salary in 2026 and $18.5 in dead cap if they move on from him. And then in 2027, they owe him $39.5 base salary, which he'll never see that, and $0 in dead cap if they move on from him. He has no guaranteed money next year. He has no guaranteed money the year after that. So I see an exit plan, and if the Raiders decide they want to move on sooner rather than later, they can. But there's a good chance, you're right, that he'll probably be the quarterback next year. We'll see what happens. I don't think he's as good as we all expected him to be. I think he holds on to the ball too long. He's not willing to run enough, right? And for whatever reason that is, and because of that offensive line, like you mentioned, not being very good, immediately when the ball is snapped, he's looking at the offensive line of protection because he doesn't trust him. Maybe he can get over that in the offseason, and they can revamp the offensive line like you're talking about, and maybe that'll help him. But I think we all realize kind of who Geno Smith is, and he's just another Band-Aid. How long are they going to have the Band-Aid on before they decide to rip it off and throw it away? Thanks so much for that. Do appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Sacktown Mark. He's calling to talk about the quarterback position and what he thinks the Raiders need to do. Here's Sacktown Mark.
Hey, Q, this is Sacktown Mark. Apologies for my raspy voice. I'm a little sick. But I just wanted to call in and give my thoughts on the whole quarterback conversation we're starting to have now. As Raider fans, seems like it's an annual thing. And I'm kind of at the point, because I think, I have agreed with you that the Raiders need to not just get a guy, they need to get their guy. But at this point, man, I think we need to get a guy and build the offense around what that guy can do, as opposed to trying to get a guy that fits with the offense that Chip Kelly wants to run, or whoever our OC is going to be, because who knows if he's even going to last after this season. I think we need to get the quarterback first and find either an offensive coordinator that can fit a scheme around what that guy does well, or if Chip Kelly's going to stay on, he has to build that offense to fit what that guy does. So if it is Mendoza or any of these other guys in the college ranks that we're going to build around, we got to make it happen like that, because that's what the best teams do. Like, the best teams morph their offense to fit what their quarterback does well. The worst teams, they try to fit a square peg in a round hole. And you saw that with Josh McDaniels when he was the coach of the Raiders. Not to go off base a little bit, but he tried to make Derek Carr do things that he wasn't comfortable with. And that's why ultimately they got rid of Derek Carr, right? I think we got to stop getting in this mentality of we have an offense and that the offense is stagnant and the players have to change their way they play, or we have to find players that fit this. No, let's take what we have, try to build something that fits what we got and make adjustments accordingly. But we got to build around the quarterback and do what is comfortable for him. So that's my thought. So regardless of who we take, I think we need just to take a guy. Any guy, not any guy, but we got to take, a top quarterback and build around him. That's where I'm at now. Anyways, Q, thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Ari, and go Raiders.
Sacktown, thanks for the call. Appreciate you, and great concept, right? There's no doubt. I think it's something that we all think the coaches should do, and good coaches do, right? Don't force, the players to fit with what the coaches want to do. Instead, maximize the player's ability and make your scheme fit with what they do. But how many times do we actually see that happen? Like, we talk about that every year. Oh, this coach is going to set these players up to do what they do best, not force them into their scheme. We say that every year. But how often does it really happen? And you're right. The best coaches out there, that's what they do. We haven't seen that from the Raiders. We see that more times than not. We see these coaches try to fit these guys into what they want to call, the scheme they want to call. I'm still convinced the Raiders aren't running the ball as much as Pete Carroll wants. I'm still convinced that Chip Kelly is going away from it too soon. And I know the offensive line hasn't been great, but you still see Ashton Jeanty getting positive yards, and you can get creative in your running style. I still believe that there's a disconnect there when it comes to even calling the run plays. But, again, that's just me. So it just seems like these coaches do what they want to do. Again, your concept is the right one, and it's a great one, but not that often is it actually exercised. But thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. We'll close out with a text from Jazzy Jeff in the Bay. What's up, Q? It's Jazzy Jeff from the Bay. After listening to Monday's podcast, I have to say that the Raiders have to do what the Houston Texans did and what the New York Giants just did in the past draft. That's take the best player available. Caleb Downs or Peter Woods or a tackle, then trade back into the first round early and take Ty Simpson or Sellers. I think Sellers is a better fit for what we see the Raiders right now, and that's offensive line until it gets and that's O-line until it gets better. And I think Chip Kelly could do well with Sellers at his legs. Tell me what you think, Q and Raider Nation. That's from Jazzy Jeff in the Bay. And the Raiders have to do something. And if you're hell-bent on getting a first-round quarterback, I'm good with that. I don't mind that approach that you have, because I also think that getting the best player available is a good idea, especially if it's a blue-chip left tackle or a blue-chip tackle in general, because you need that. This offensive line has to be revamped. And I don't know how much longer Colton Miller has, so you might need to get that guy at the left tackle position, right? If you go after Caleb Downs, I think he's a special, special player out of Ohio State by way of Alabama. Special player. Would love to see him in the silver and black. I don't know if they can afford to get a safety, though, right? Is that the right direction to go with the safety at that stage of the game whenever they're going to pick, right? That might be too high for a safety. I don't know. But I'm okay with the best player available, and if they decide that they have to trade back in to the first round like the Giants did with Jackson Dart, then by all means. Again, if your guy is there, go get him. Do what you have to do, but you have to come up with a plan. You just have to. So that's on, again, the smart people, John Spytek and company, to come up with their idea of what they want to do, and we'll see how it all plays out. But your plan, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good idea if they can come up with, a trade partner, when they can get their guy and who their guy is going to be. I don't think any of these guys are really ready to go right away. So that might go back to, the text that we had earlier saying Geno will be the quarterback next year. That might be the reason why Geno's a quarterback next year. So thanks so much for the call and the text. Definitely appreciate that. It's going to close out the show today. Again, on this Veterans Day, if you're off, appreciate the day, but also remember the reason why you're off. If you're not, well, it's okay. I mean, hey, work is work, right? You got to do what you got to do. And again, we thank the veterans out there. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything that you've done, all the sacrifices you've made to allow guys like me to sit here in Studio Q and be able to talk about the silver and black and not worry about any kind of freedoms that we might not have in this country. So thanks so much for that. We definitely appreciate you. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow. Today, we will get to the Raiders facility, get inside the locker room, see who I get a chance to talk to, since I don't have any radio shows to do this afternoon. But we'll be back tomorrow on News and Notes, plenty of conversations, your calls and texts. We'll get to all that coming up on tomorrow's show. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.